What's up, Dragon Brood? So today we're going to go through a collection. I hadn't done that in a little while. Seems like people really enjoyed it the last time we did it. This one's actually a little bit more special than last time because I have a viewer that goes by Orion Havoc that actually hangs out in our Discord, and actually I believe I first encountered Orion during our Twitch streams. And he was consolidating his collection and said, hey, I'd rather sell them to somebody that I know. And I was like, cool, I'll buy them from you, hook you up, and it gives me something to show on the channel. Because I hadn't bought a collection recently here. Though I do have some lined up, so I may have some more coming up in the next couple days. But one of the things I want to talk about is that this collection actually was shipped, I believe, around the 15th. And it was sent priority. As a matter of fact, this is just the first part. The second part is just the bulk that he sent regular mail. But it still got stuck around the 18th. It moved forward an additional day on the 19th, and it didn't go anywhere. You know, we didn't even have like city by city tracking, I think, when I looked it up. And I mentioned this to say to everybody that understand that right now, if you're mailing stuff throughout the US, the postal system is backed up with the pandemic and postal workers being sick and people sending a record amount of packages. There's just a lot in the system that needs to get through. So, you know, have some sympathy, I guess, or empathy in a lot of ways for these small businesses, especially that are sending you packages that you may not have gotten yet. You know, I've talked to so many game store owners, you know, Amazon store owners, whatever, that have people complaining literally the day after saying, well, why did my stuff not ship? Where's the tracking? How come I didn't get this in 2 days? Blah, 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 you know, and some of it is they sent it out the door. That's like the tracking didn't get updated or the package didn't get scanned. I've seen pictures from the postal service that has literally, like, as far as the eye can see, packages sitting in bins, you know, and you just got to have a little bit of patience, I guess, right now. That's all. That's the reason I bring this up, is like, even this package got to me, even with priority track or shipping, got here over a week late, you know, and we weren't worried about it. So it's cool, it's fine, it's got tracking, we know it'll be here, and when it gets here, you know, not a big deal. So that's all. Just saying, have a little sympathy for your fellow person, that especially for these small businesses, because a lot of this ends up being stuff that gets refunded, or it causes issues, or the money gets tied up for whatever reason till things are resolved with like PayPal or whatever service you ordered through. And it just becomes a big problem for these small businesses that actually need this money right now, you know, but they're maybe even depending on these Christmas sales or whatever. And it's more of a hassle, and it's more things they have to keep track of, and none of this is their fault. So please just keep that in mind. Now, to the positive side, I have no idea what's in this box. As a matter of fact, I literally just cut the top on it, but it's a pretty big box. I'm not going to show the top because it has his address and label on it. I don't want to put that out there. But yeah, it's a pretty hefty box. This thing weighs, I don't know, it says about 15 pounds, almost 16 pounds. So there's a lot of stuff in here. We're going to get into it. So let me switch camera angles and we will look at the goods. Okay, so new camera angle. And like I said, I don't know what's in the box, so this might be a little weird. And one of the things I'll admit to also is one of the things that's kind of tough about doing these types of videos is I do worry about the pacing, because I can kind of control the pacing of other videos a little better, but going through collections, I'm not sure what all it is you want to see, or, you know, should I be skipping through stuff or whatever. So feel free to let me know in the comments, by the way. Also, if you haven't, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We are trying to reach 10,000 subscribers by February 1st. And we only have a couple weeks left, so please help us out with that. Okay, so going into the box. Okay, there's an envelope in here that looks like it's stamped. I don't know what that's for, so... oh, wait, I think he actually had asked me to autograph a card. That might be what it is. Because I told him I would autograph something if they sent it in a self-addressed stamped envelope. But I wouldn't charge anybody. I'm not, who am I, right? I'm not big enough to charge for an autograph, but I'll gladly sign something and send it back. So, first box, very nice. Comes in one of these very large Ultimate Guard cases. Obviously, now let's not be, obviously, if I had my choice, it would be an Ultra Pro case, because they're the ones who sponsor my content. But, you know, he sent in what he had. This, however, is a lot of cards. And from the sounds of things, this, like I said, this box is stuff that were from his playable piles or things that came out of, I'm guessing, like probably draft stuff or whatever. Don't really know. But the other stuff he said is actually more true bulk, which I think there's always a little bit of value in the bulk. So, you know, I still am interested in that. I also have some people who have picked up Magic over the, I guess, pandemic break, if you want to call it that. So we'll be doing stuff when it's all done to give them more cards as well. Okay, so it looks like, quick glance, there's stuff from a bunch of different sets in here. I see some Dominaria, I see some Ravnica, I see, looks like Ultimate Masters, might be what that was. So yeah, so there's like quite a few different things in here. So I'm kind of just going to start at a spot that just makes sense, and I'm just going to pull off of a tower, and we'll just see what's in here. So these look, okay, this is some of the common material and stuff here. There are a few things in here I will go back through and pull, it looks like, because you've got like stuff like Spore Frog, surprisingly, seems to always be on list that people are looking for. And I may miss a card or two here, because some of this is just for, obviously for the video. I'll go back through and clear this up. Stuff like this too, like Merfolk, Tidebender, Tatiova, Crackling Drake, like, these, none of these are big, but they're all like quality, you know, 15-cent, 20-cent cards you can get on put on buy list. Adelies and foil, that's kind of cool. I'll set the foils aside. We might actually be able to make a little bit for those. Walk the Plank promo is what that is, with the full art there. I don't know if y'all could see that. There you go. So that's a thing. I don't think I even remember seeing this one. Essence Extraction. Back from Kaladesh. Alright, well, we'll set that aside. Why not? I mean, I never know what I'm going to see in collections. So this was also, I think, a promo token. Though it is played up, but got some wear on it there. Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. There's a lot of versions of different cards. So sometimes familiarizing yourself with different cards, especially if you don't know what it is, don't be afraid to not know, right? Go look it up. Find, you know, what makes it stand out. You know, what did it come from? What year? Were there other ones that are popular? Because every little bit you know can help you make a better decision when you're buying collections. I mean, I think the worst thing making a decision on either purchasing collection or pricing out a collection is believing you know more than you do. You know, I think you can end up buying stuff that you don't need to be buying or paying too much. You know, the other side of that is you could also end up not making money on some things in your collection that are worth money. I think that's another thing, you know, that really needs to be talked about. All right, so here's some revised stuff, an Armageddon Clock. I don't know what that's worth anymore. Sisei's Ring, I believe this got reprinted recently, so it's not near what it used to be, but don't mind that. An original Marble Diamond, sure, it was also reprinted, another Walk the Plank. That's just a regular counterspell, not a foil one. If it was a foil one, I might have pulled it aside. Regular ones, there's enough of them that it's not really anything you want to mess around with too much. Okay, those are all good. So that's one stack. So far, not hitters. I will tell you, though, it looks like there's definitely a lot more in the box. So I'm not remotely discouraged by what we're seeing in these piles just yet. There's definitely more to be had. Lingering Souls. It was funny. This is a card I just featured, was it 2 videos ago for our card spotlight? By the way, if you watch my gameplay videos, if you haven't watched to the end, I do a card spotlight every week. Ethereal Armor. I don't know why. I feel like I want to set those aside. Delay. You know, okay. There was a point where I believe that the French delays were actually worth a bunch of money because, you know, Magic players at the time, and some still now, were immature. But the French word for delay, I believe it was French, it was a French retard, is retard. Because that's just a word. But of course, people saw retard on a card, and they were giddy about it. So yeah, so there's a history lesson for you. And yes, I know people are offended by the word. I'm just using it to explain history here before I get destroyed in the comments for saying it. I understand what's happening. Rat colonies. Fun, because I just had those in a deck, but don't let's... Well, you know what? That's not true. I am going to pull those aside, because there's a lot of times those cards that you can have, like, any amount of, those show up on buy lists quite a bit. So I will set those aside. Get, you know, sometimes a quarter for them, 50 cents. So no worries there. Some other foils in here. Foil Blightning might be alright. I'll pull that aside. What's the foil Fire and Ice? That's cool. What else we got? Cast Out. I'll pull aside. That might be something soon. Mostly because, and here's the weird part too. Some of it is trying to follow content right now and see what decks, what cards are really getting attention or being played, and then figuring out, what are people likely to take away and start playing once we get back to paper Magic, right? Because there's been some small innovations in decks here or there, and people still playing some, not much, but playing some paper formats in a digital realm. And, you got to take that into account, that people are going to see that. So when the time comes, have they been working on decks or following the content? Or when people go to look up deck lists, they're going to be looking up the most recent stuff that's out there. Hermit Druid, that's another older one. That's a rare that doesn't just has a black symbol because it's from Stronghold. But yeah, I think that's the other thing too, is understanding that a lot of the stuff, when people decide, hey, I want to go play Modern, or I want to go play, Legacy, or any of the newer formats even, right? They're going to be looking at stuff that's been online the last few months. Almost the last year, actually, not even a few months. So if you're on top of that, that could give you a leg up trying to figure out what you should be targeting. Because there's a lot of cards that people didn't care about before that they may be caring about now. And if you know ahead of time, you can start pulling some of those aside in anticipation of people looking for them. Even if they're not super hot now, there is a point where they'll probably start showing up on buy list and things. And then you can go through and, make a few bucks. Because the biggest thing about collections, and I always tell people, the best thing is when you're aware of what moves and what sells, you can make a lot of money in just incidental damage. Where you're going through a collection and pulling out a pile of nickels and dimes. And before you know it, you've got $40, $50 worth of cards. I have that regularly. I put stuff on buy list to different vendors. Even then, I sold 9 monster boxes, 5 row boxes equivalent to somebody off one of the groups I was in, right? I already got what I wanted out of it. I told them like, hey, Ghostly Prisons, those always are going for a little bit. I told them like, hey, I've already gone through, pulled what I wanted, and there's still a few cards that are worth a little bit in there, but like nothing I'm willing to fight over. And he was good with it, paid me a decent amount for them, and I didn't have to mess with them anymore. So there's always a way to move cards, always network, keep your options open. I pull out all the rares because even just bulk rares add up after a while, at 8 cents, 10 cents a piece, whatever it is. Sometimes you can shop it around, find people that'll pay different amounts. Is this still a rare? No, it doesn't look like. All right, once upon a time that was a rare. But yeah, give yourself just the opportunity. Like, give yourself the maximum number of spots. I'm just pulling Gaia's Blessings aside, just because it seems like there's a little more hype about that card recently. Just from people getting milled out. Priest of Titania always sells for a little bit. There's a Skull Clamp, a Mind Stone, Quirion Druid. Okay. Quirion, yeah, all that. That's a good little run. And those are things, again, that, yes, they've been reprinted, but they still sell for a little bit. So you definitely don't want to let that stuff go, because that's just money you're leaving on the table. Wizard's Retort, it is in foil, though, so I'll grab that. Ops are fine, but not often do I see enough. Same thing with Spell Pierce. I think it's been printed a couple times at this point. Promo Cancel, I don't know if those are worth anything. And the other thing, too, is don't ever... when you're going through a collection, you're usually at home, in private. If there's something you don't know and you want to look up later, do what I do. Just put it in a pile and come back to it. Like, there's nothing stopping you from just checking it out. And if it ends up not being worth anything, great. You're not really out any real amount of time, just a, few minutes here or there. But if it is worth something, well, now you don't have to go through your pile of cards again. Or even just trying to remember what may or may not. Oh, those are foil of braids. Those are kind of cool. I might just pull out all these foils anyway. There's some vendors you'll see sometimes that do just buy like bulk foils, and you're going to sell those to them. Personally, I know people talk about like the warping in foils and this, that, and the other. And it's weird, right? Because some don't seem to have it. Like these are from Amonkhet. This looks mostly fine. There's these are from Masters 25. This is pretty good. So I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if it's conditions for some people or whatever, but it's definitely something. This has a slight bend to it, I think, if you look at it there. But I don't know. I've been pretty fortunate, but I also don't really care about foils. If you ever see me playing with the foil, it's either because it was my fourth copy or something, or the copy I needed that happened to be available, or it's just what was handy when I was nearby. I just toss it in the deck. But I've often just traded away a foil for like 2 or 3 regular copies, or pick something else up that I needed. I'm not attached to them like a lot of people. For me personally, I would be more excited to have foils if they were unique. If I were getting an exclusive art something or other that was also foil, I'd be really excited about that. But just having random cards that are already regular but foil with the other art doesn't really do much. With the same art, doesn't really do much for me. But if you gave me unique art, I'd be all about it. I think that could be really fun. So I hope in the future that's what Wizards goes to. It's just like, because right now that's kind of my problem with the collector's boosters, right? You're getting stuff that's like, okay, it's just borderless, but it's like the same art, But if you gave me completely unique art, that could be kind of fun to open up packs that don't look like anything else. Those would probably carry a premium, and they'd be worth the extra price in the packs for sure. Okay. So it looks like this pile in general was kind of just like some useful deck building parts, but nothing crazy in this box. The cool part is I'm glad we're getting back to, I say getting back to, we're just now getting vaccines and stuff out where we'll be gaming again soon. And I can consider giving some of these boxes away because I have so many from collections I bought. And one of the things I like to do is I go to stores or events or whatever, and I keep a couple usually in like my car or my backpack. So if I run into kids that are just carrying stuff in like a grocery bag, I've seen that a few times, or they've just got a beat up deck box or whatever, I can be like, hey, here's the thing, right? And it's like a $15, $20 box, but I don't need it. They just got thrown in on collections. So I just give them to somebody, right? And to me, that makes me feel good. It helps somebody else out. Awesome. Unfortunately, I've been sitting in a world where I haven't had places to go to give those away. So I have so many to get rid of. So that's going to be kind of fun to be able to do that again. Also, if any of you are curious about the vaccines, COVID, how that's going to affect events or whatever, if you don't know, I have a podcast called Color of Magic. And there's an epidemiologist. Ooh, blood artist. Those always sell. An epidemiologist that is a fan of my show, and he's agreed to come on this week. So on this Thursday's episode, we're going to have him on basically answering questions about, I guess post-event gaming and Magic or whatever, post-COVID with the vaccines and stuff, and kind of what we can expect, how soon should people be looking to get back out, all that stuff. So it's going to be pretty fun and informative, really, because I don't think that's something a lot of shows have access to people to do. So I'm kind of glad I get to do that for everybody. So hopefully that'll be something people enjoy and turns into a little something. Oh, whoa, that's weird. I went to pull this and realized somebody was making a 3-dimensional card. Check that out. Yeah, so one of the things people were doing for a while is you can take a card and basically you cut it into cut like 5 or 6 of them, and you cut different parts out of each one, with more having the background and stuff on the bottom, and then you put little spacers between them, so when you put them in one of the 20 or 30 card little plastic cases, it looks like a 3-dimensional card, when it's stacked up. So it looks like somebody was working on a project that never got completed there, but kind of cool when you come across that stuff. And it's always neat too going through collections, because it's neat just to see where people's mindsets were. Kind of, you can sort of tell, like, did they play more green cards or blue cards or whatever based on the stuff that's in decks and things like that. You can almost tell like the full provenance of a deck or of a collection, just seeing kind of how the cards stack up and what's going on there. Okay, cool. So that's done. we've got this box. Let's see what's in here. This is a Dominaria fat pack box, or I guess by then they would have been called bundles. I'm old school, so they're fat packs, but you know. Let's see what else we've got here. Let's see. Well, okay. So this is actually some bulk rares, or actually just rares in general. All right, so Dragon Mage has kind of fallen off because it got a recent reprint. Crater Hellions was funny. I remember in Standard when Crater Hellion was printed years ago. The different types of slivers always sell. They're always on some list, especially the rare ones. The rare ones and the ones that make mana. You know, Mythics, you're always going to want those. Sulfuric Vortex, always a good card. Kargan Dragon Lord. Sometimes those are. I'm going to pull those up. I haven't looked up one in a while. They used to be pricey, so I'm going to pull them aside. Who knows what they're going for now. But yeah, this, okay. Pile Driver. Krenko. So yeah, and this is the other thing too. Like, basically all these bulk cards, I'm going to set aside. Even if I don't end up pricing. Actually, you know what? Gaia Reach Bandit oddly was on some buy lists not that long ago. I don't know if they still are. I haven't looked at any since COVID. But, Flame Blast Angel. Oh, that's an alternate art one. Huh. I don't remember where those came from. I'll have to look those up. But yeah, these rares, even if I don't, some more promos, need them individually, I will still keep them aside because, again, I can put them onto some vendors' bulk list and make, you know, even if it's 8 cents a card, you know, basically it's money. I'm just leaving it on the table otherwise. Now, I will say, generally, you want to find a vendor that lives close to you. Chandras, some Sarkans. Koths, cool. I actually think I needed another Koth, so that's kind of convenient. It's better to find a vendor that's close to you, just because the shipping can kick your butt sometimes. You know, when you're talking huge boxes that can be very heavy, you're going to pay a lot. So the best thing you can do a lot of times is find somebody who's in your area that either is a short ship or that you can at least just drive up and drop something off to. You know, like up here, it's like Card Kingdom is first choice. Otherwise, I can send stuff to Channel Fireball, which is in like California, or I can send stuff to my third choice, which is Star City. They're on the opposite coast. And that's not even about like one being better than the other for me. It's just like what's convenient, right? I can just walk into one and drop stuff off. Or if I'm shipping stuff, I don't have to pay as much because it's not as far. So if you're on the East Coast or whatever, then yeah, it makes sense. Send it to somebody like Card Kingdom. I mean, not Card Kingdom, but Star City, right? They're out on your way. Rekindling Phoenix is cool. Experimental Frenzy. Collective Defiance. So yeah, there's a lot of little stuff here that's pretty cool. Arclight Phoenix. I don't know if Lava Coils are really worth much. Dictates. Sarkans. Apex of Power. This card never really turned in anything, sadly. And it's one of those cards that has so many words on it that sounds like it does a cool thing, but it just never got there. Alright, some black cards. Oh no, these are all... Oh, I was going to say, are these just all foil? Foil Arbor Elf. Urban Burgeoning. Maybe they are. They're all shiny. Huh. Okay. Maybe we just have a big pile of foils here. Okay, if so, I'm definitely going to have to go back through these. Alright. Yeah, there's just a lot of foils. Okay. Altar of the Lost, some foil artifacts. Alright, then some regular cards. Looks like these are just kind of things that got stuffed in the box after a point. And that's okay. Like, whenever you're putting stuff for shipping, you just put stuff wherever it fits. So I totally get that. The other thing, too, y'all, is basic lands actually still have value. A lot of places, like, well, really all the big sites, right? They put together collections of cards. And sometimes they're building special decks or they're putting together starter kits or whatever, and they need basic lands. So don't just knock the lands as something that you're like, oh, I'm going to toss those aside. I actually keep all the basics, and usually I'll get to where I have, 3, 4 thousand basics, and I can just make a few bucks for them, right? Because again, they're things that I've already paid for. I'm not particularly doing anything with them. They're not taking up space or whatever. So I mean, I say that they take up a little space, but they're better than just tossing them out. All right, so I don't even know what this is, but it was in a Dragon Shield box. Looks like white rares. All right, don't know what's going to be in here. Oh, there's some Thalias. All right, we don't mind Thalia. Thalia's pretty nice. Vryn Wingmare, not great, but it does have some uses. So I'm going to pull that aside. I don't think Providence is worth anything. Let's see. Sarah Avengers, we'll pull those aside. Man, Outlast, worst mechanic, at least for constructed. Like, worst mechanic. I just, can't stand it. I was super disappointed by that card. Thalia's Lieutenants actually have a play. Oh my gosh, there's so many Thalia's Lieutenants. Honor of the Pure, maybe. Odric, yes. Fiend Slayer, yes. Mentor of the Meek. Grand Abolisher. This is a Planeswalker deck, Gideon, it looks like. Precinct. Alright. Ooh, Sun Titan. Sun Titan. Ooh, Avacyn. Alright, there's a few things in here. Approach of the Second Sun. Regal Caracal. Anafenza. Felidar Sovereign comes and goes off a list, but I always pull them aside. Mesa Enchantress, same thing it feels like. Spirit Bonds had a small window where they were worth something. I don't think they are anymore. Norn's Annex. Authority of the Councils. There's all kinds of stuff in here. Like, this is actually a pretty good pile. Regna, don't know about. Angelic Chorus, Beacon of Immortality. There's another Caracal. Yeah, there's actually quite a few just random things in here. Terminus. I don't think that Ascension is worth much, but I'm going to stick it in there anyway. Wall of Reverence. Mirror Entity. Refurbish, maybe. Sublime Archangel. Love this card. I think there's still footage out there of me playing a Star City Open where I got to crush with this card against a mono red deck, which is super awesome. Settle the Wreckage. I think we actually, I showed that video on our stream a couple months back. We just reviewed footage that was out there of me playing Magic, which was kind of weird, but very fun just to share those moments with people. All right, so that was a good. I mean, when you consider the box and how much was in there, it's about half of it we pulled out. So that's not bad. Like that. I don't even know what this is. Oh, it's a Kaijudo package. Check this out. I don't even know if this is worth anything. Okay, I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to have to look this up. I have no idea. But, I'm a believer that I've seen a lot of collections I've been able to buy cheaply because the person selling it is also selling, like, baseball cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Pokemon or whatever. And inevitably, people won't want it because they don't want all the stuff. They just want to buy just the Magic or whatever. Or just the Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And I'm the opposite. Like, I at least have some knowledge in a lot of different things, so I'm confident in moving it. So sometimes I get really good deals on stuff because I view it as like, okay, well, the Magic's worth this much, and that's close to what their value is. And there's like double that in these other things that I know I can sell, so yeah, I'll take it. And they're excited to move it, so love when that happens. Luxury Suite, definitely want that. Temple of Malice. Foreboding Ruins. Okay, so this is just the non-basic land box, which has quite a few things in here. So yeah, there's going to be a lot. Canopy Vista, Fortified Village is rare. Another Canopy Vista. Not the Guild Gates. These oddly 3-color lands do tend to be on list. There's a foil. We'll pull that aside. The Vivid lands, maybe. Drowned Catacombs for sure. Choked Estuary. Spire Bluff Canal. Sulfur. Yeah, these are actually worth like $3 or $4 a piece on some of these. So yeah, even at buy list prices. So digging that. This box is the hot box so far. And here's the other thing I like about this too, from a personal perspective, is I get to fill out my collections, right? Like where I'm missing a land, maybe I only have 3 of something because I traded some off or I didn't think I was going to need them or whatever. Well, I get the chance to reload and refresh. So that's always fun too, because a lot of times I'll get people who are just like, oh, do you have like this in foil, or do you have this particular card? Because I don't keep a lot of cards. I really don't. For as many collections I go through, I get rid of or give away a lot. I don't keep much for myself. I normally keep stuff that I'd like to play or I think I'm going to use in the future to build with or something. And that's about it. I don't really care to keep much. But, there are cases where I'm like, well, I know this card's good and I don't want to sell it at the price it's going for right now. And I'll just find people who are just like, oh, well, if you have stuff for sale or trade, I need one of these. So I'll take my collection from, say, 4 of something down to 2 of something or 3 of something. I did that with my dual lands for a while. I wasn't playing any of the blue decks, and I knew the blue duels were worth a bunch, so I went down to like 2 of on a bunch of them. And people ask me, like, do I regret it? Like, no, not at all. I mean, to this day, I haven't built decks that need those, so I feel okay with it. It was a good decision. I recommend, like, cause here's the thing, like, I collected sports cards, comic books, like, you name it, right? And people always ask me, like, well, what's your most expensive whatever? And truthfully, I don't know that answer. And the reason is because it doesn't matter. For me personally, until I decide to sell it, they're basically expensive paperweights. I don't need to know what they go for today because nobody's asking for it. Now, if somebody says, like, hey, I'm looking for, I don't know, issue 123 of this comic book, then I'll go through my stuff, see if I have it, figure out what it's worth, and give them a decent price on it, right? But otherwise, does it matter if I have a book that's $50? If it's just going to sit in a box for another 20 years? Not really. Does it matter if I have a sports card that's worth a bunch? No, not really. Those were a little sticky. Oh, Pendlehaven promo. That's cool. The old style Effingham promos. Dig that. Yeah, this whole section's been good stuff, though. These are all lands I can use. Definitely, like I said, it'll fill out some of my collections of stuff, which is really nice. Even where I don't particularly need a bunch of these are actually going to be pretty useful. Oh, foil Sulphur Falls. That's cool. So yeah, this is... Ryan definitely kept a bunch of lands. More than playsets on a lot of these. I'm appreciative at this point in time. But, again, it's how many do you need of a thing? And this isn't taking a shot at him. I think this is just something players and collectors should ask themselves regularly. Does it do me any good to have 8 Ember Cleaves, right? If I'm never playing more than 3. Like, well, probably not. But there's people who want to have a whole pile of them. And it's funny because people assume when I'm going through these collections, I just keep infinite everything. I was like, no, I don't. 1, I don't want to keep track of that stuff. And 2, that's not how you make money on collections. You have to be willing to separate yourself from the purchase and get rid of stuff. Like a lot of my stuff goes on to Cardsphere, which, by the way, up over here, cardsphere.com. You should check them out if you haven't. Great way to buy, sell stuff at the price you want and find cards at the price you want. I've done it many, many times. I took a break leading up to the holidays just because, kind of same message I started my video out with. I knew people were going to complain possibly about stuff not getting there in time, even with tracking. And I just didn't want to mess with that over the holiday break. But after going through this pile, I will actually take time and probably put a bunch of this on Cardsphere and get a bunch of it out the door before the end of the week. So within a week's time, I'll have fresh money in my account, and it's going to be awesome. And it's a little bit of work, but it's not a ton. But it's worth it in the end. It just kind of depends on where your personal situation is and the time you have available to deal with a lot of this. All right. Well, that stack of lands was pretty cool. I would say, all told, about 2/3 of that. Yeah, thereabouts. This is maybe about 60%. And even these are actually useful lands, I would say, for the most part, except for maybe like a handful of guild gates. The rest of these I might be able to use, or I will include with collections when I give them to somebody, just because they'll need multi-lands of some variety, and that's a good way to get them started. This box was open, so hopefully there's no damages here. This looks like artifact rares. All right. Hey, Crucible World's on top. Man, I loved Lash Writhe. This card is not great, but I played it in a few different decks and really enjoyed it. So, yeah. Alright, we'll set that over there. Oh, so it wasn't artifact rare. I got bamboozled. It looked like on the top it was going to be artifact rares, but it was not. Frogmites, Triskelions, those are rares. Aetherfly. Oh, Soul Rings will always. Okay, word to the wise: always take Soul Rings. Soul Rings are forever on every buy list, and you're always going to get $1 to $2 pretty much all the time for Soul Rings. Several vendors I've spoken to will tell you they could sell Soul Rings all day, every day. Doesn't matter how many times they get reprinted. Also, Vanquisher's Banner looks really dumb, and you're like, why is this here? This thing, one of the most popular cards people buy from me on Cardsphere. Recommend, pull them aside every time. Yeah, some of these other Eldrazi cards, like Get That Betrays, stuff like that. Conjurer's Closet was a little bit before it got reprinted, now not so much. Trading Post. There's just a lot of incidentals. That's the other thing I do like about Cardsphere, is it's a way to move a lot of those types of cards that you might not have a huge market for. But there's people looking for things, even if it is just 50 cents or $1 or whatever. Cool. Like, you can fill out an order. When you're talking about having to pay for shipping or whatever, I will go through people's list sometimes for cards I don't even have listed. I'd be like, oh, I know I have a couple of those I can spare. Let me go ahead and toss them on. By the way, had this card in a sideboard of the last deck I played where I qualified for a regionals in a PTQ. Actually came into play in the finals and led to me winning. So funny as that is. But yeah, I will go through, and if I see stuff they have listed or that they're wanting and I don't have it listed, I'll just pull out of my personal stuff because I'm like, great, that'll help me offset the shipping, and basically I can send this package for free. So now it's all bonus money, basically moving stuff that, not insulting to the person here, but for me was effectively junk, that now I turned into something. More Soul Rings, yay! Big fan of that. 1,000 Elixir, there's some foil. Ooh, Panharmonicons. These are always popular. Oh, and there's a lot of Panharmonicons. 5 of them, actually. Colossus of Akros, not so much. They can't all be winners, though. Sentinel's Tower, Moonsword. Okay, so yeah, this is just a bunch of... Oh, Mox Amber. That always goes for a little bit. Torpor Orb. Pretty cool. Endless Ones. Oddly, always on list for whatever reason. I've never seen anybody play with one. Door to Nothingness. Emerald Medallion. Also, y'all, rares that... I keep saying this, but rares that come from Commander sets. Don't turn your nose up at them. There's so many rares and uncommons from Commander sets that you can make decent little money on. I bought several collections. Oh, cool. A Chroma's Memorial. From people who posted stuff up. And they're like, well, this is mostly stuff from Commander decks because that's all I played for the last couple of years. I snap those up every time, especially if they're at a good deal. Always buy them because I can pick through them, find tons of stuff that I'm going to be able to sell to vendors, make money on it very easily. For 2 reasons. One, some of the Commander cards are actually just very good Magic cards, and people need them for everything. The other is, a lot of them have only ever been released in Commander sets. So even if the card's not super popular, it's still going to be like a $2 card or a $3 card, because if anybody needs one, there's not that many of them. I mean, I say that. Commander sells well, but comparative to other Magic sets or whatever, there's not nearly as many of the Commander rares necessarily out there. Alright, so what do we found? Oh, we found another pack of white rares, I think this is. Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. Or mostly rares. Not all sorts of plowshares. Yeah, we'll take those. God's Willing is a good one to build with, so I'll pull that aside. And again, that's not one that I'm pulling aside for value, but it's when I'm helping new players build decks or collections. I know it's a card I'm going to want to include for some things when I'm teaching them stuff, so I don't mind pulling those aside. These are more of like the bulk rare territory. Actually, I say that. Knight of the White Orchid's worth a little bit. Another Avacyn, cool. Oh, the other thing too I want to say I like about this collection, all English cards. The biggest thing is it's hard to move non-English a lot of times because the average, like, you can move non-English cards to enfranchised players, right? They understand what the cards are. Ooh, a bunch of promo Restoration Angels, that's cool. They know what the cards are. They know what they do. Not a big deal. But if you're going to sell stuff to your local store, or I'm putting stuff, say, on my Cardsphere or whatever, the average player looking just wants an English card because that's all they know, right? And I'm sure it's different if you're overseas, of course. But, you know, language does matter where you're trying to move your cards. And it's something that, like, shouldn't matter greatly, but it appears to. You know, I've had many times I've had cards that are super valuable. Matter of fact, even on Cardsphere, there's been a couple times I have some good, like, foreign, like stronghold stuff maybe listed, right? And I've had to reach out to people and say, hey, I noticed you need an English such and such. Oh, more rare land, sweet. I'm like, I have this other one in, I don't know, Chinese or Japanese or whatever. And I can sell it to you at equal or lesser price if you're interested. And they're like, oh, yeah. So they add it to their list, and then I can check it off and send them stuff. So, I mean, sometimes it's an extra step to move them, but it does take some work where I have to see it on their list in English to even know and then sell it to them. And then, of course, there just may not be that many people who really want them at the end. So, just something else to know about. Yeah, this was actually a good little pile too. Slayer Strongholds, Andy's Hovel, more Pain Lands, Man Lands, Fast Lands. Yeah, alright. So that was actually another good box too. This literally was all we're putting back from that box. So that was a good one too. So well done there on that one. There is this. I don't know what this is. This is like a pixelated. I've seen people make these for different things out of the little beads, which is cool. Don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, though. I don't even know what character this is, first off. I will admit to that. But it's a cool piece. Kind of the same way I got this 3D printed dice holder. It also came from a collection I bought. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. But I'll probably keep it and display it somewhere. Alright, another box. This one's a Gideon box with more things. I'm wondering where the green and red and black... Oh, we did see the red cards, or some of the red cards. Maybe he just played... This is what I was saying earlier. Maybe he just played a bunch of white cards. White might have been his favorite color. Declaration in Stone. Elspeth, fantastic. Those actually sell for a bit. Oh yeah, this is actually a good little pile. Again, not anything crazy, but some good mid-level stuff. I can appreciate that. Curse of Swine. There was a weird point in time where Curse of the Swine actually sold for a little bit, and I still don't know why. I couldn't find anything online that said, like, hey, people are playing this deck, or, you know, this is the new hot thing people should be buying. Because some of it, you know, you have to keep up with certain people pointing out to the community, like, oh, this is a hot card, you should know about it, or whatever. Though, I tried to do that for y'all. I told you about Lavissa Cold Eyes. That thing jumped all the way to $12, I think it was last week when I looked. When it was previously like $1.50. So, you know, card spotlight, y'all, at the end of my videos. Alright, Rites of Replication. Those sell. Don't mind those. Yeah, so this is a bunch of just like mid-level. Borals are actually pretty good, though. Don't want to hate on that. Nobilis of Frost. Okay. The Disdainful Strokes we don't need. Negates we don't need. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to have some pricing to do here on some of this because there's going to be a lot that will fall into the bulk category. Petitioners, again, because you can have infinites of these, always pull them aside. There's always going to be some player in the world that wants infinite rats, infinite acolytes, infinite petitioners. Like, that person always exists. And vendors always need those cards. So, yeah. Word to the wise, don't ever pass those up. Always get them. I would do that every day and twice on Sundays if it were an option. Okay, let's see. So blue cards weren't as heavy in the rare department. Ooh, Time Reversal's nice, though. That's one that always sells for a little bit. Riddle Form. This is like the second foil Riddle Form in these piles, I believe. Lots of foil on Nuru. And this is kind of another one of those ones where I look and say, you know what? You can tell when you see a play set of a card, kind of like, oh, this is what this person was into. Okay, it looks like that was everything in that box. So not bad. That was another one, about 60% of what was in there. This is what we're putting back into the box. Oh, there's actually, exciting, there's a binder down in the bottom. I didn't notice that. I thought they were just empty pages, but looks like there's pages and a binder down there. All right, so this has another full set. Oh, there's a promo. No, there's something in a sleeve. What is this? This is not a valuable card, but it is a pre-release promo. So, Disrupting Shoal, a reprinted one. Hinder. All right, so this is another pile of blue rares, it looks like. Master of Ethereum tends to still sell for a little bit, so I'll pull those aside. There's some foils in here, obviously. Lady Azami. Rewinds we don't really need. I will take a foil Spell Pierce, for sure. Negates, pass on those. Nezahal, sure. Patient Rebuilding, sure. So yeah, lots of rares and mythics in this pile. This is definitely like where you can tell this is probably a rare and mythic pile. And then possibly some stuff they might deck build with. Which looks like, because, you know, again, you have Brainstorms, Preordains. That's the type of stuff I would keep in here. Time Warps, always sell. Any of those extra turn cards, just assume you're going to be able to sell or trade them. Pretty much every card that says extra turns, there's a Magic player that wants to take extra turns. Just know that's a thing. Like, assume it's a thing. You're probably going to be right more often than not. This is about 50. Even though I'm pulling out a lot of rares here, these are probably about 20% actually value rares, and the rest are just, I'll toss them into a bulk pile. Juicy Apprentice and foils, kind of cool. But yeah, Oath of Jace, some clones. Clones go up and down. Like, sometimes they'll be on lists, sometimes they won't. Aetherlings, alright. That whole family of cards is actually reasonable. Beguiler of Wits had its moments. Another Time Warp, that's cool. Wharf Infiltrator, some Jaces of various rare types, sets. Torrential Gear Hulks, awesome. I like having those. Were those promo Soul Ravnicas? I don't remember those being like that. Maybe they're not. They don't look like it. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, this is actually a whole pile of just blue rares. All right. Unfortunately, some of the big blue rares are not very good. You're going to spend a lot of mana to not get a lot of anything. So a lot of that's going to go into bulk piles. But I will say, even of the stuff I pulled aside where I have a bunch of bulk mixed in, it's still probably about 40% value cards. So that's very good. These are... Oh, these are for Arch Enemy. No idea if these are worth anything, so I will just set these aside to look up later. With the Kaijudo stuff sitting there. Alright, there is... Let me open it. Okay, so we did send a letter with something wrapped, so I'm going to open this up separately because I don't know what's on this yet. But it says, hope you're doing well. Spelled my name incorrectly, but that's okay. Hope the cat's doing well. Oh, thanks so much. I mean, I know the cat struggled a bit with his cone of shame. But this should get you by Christmas, hopefully. Obviously, that didn't happen, but it's totally fine. Added a few extra items, so maybe you can figure out how to use them. Merry Christmas to you and your family. In this envelope are just a few more expensive pieces and a promotional dragon card I'd love if you signed and shipped back my way. I'm starting a small collection of YouTubers signed names. Oh, that's a cool collection to have. That's awesome. Adding yours to collection would be awesome. Anyways, wish you guys the best. Hope something ends up on your channel and helps in some way. I certainly haven't touched in the past year or two. Okay, cool. That is good times. So the cards that he included were, let me see if I can get a good shot of this on camera. This is pretty neat. And this returns all lands to their owner's hand. This is the card they want signed. So a Dragon Broodmother, which makes sense for PowrDragn. Oh, a Karn, a Misty Rain. Oh, whoa! Whoa, what? That's cool. Oh, man. Well, thank you, Orion, if you're seeing this video. I did not expect this at all to be in here. Dang, that's nice of you. Cool. That was totally unexpected. I genuinely, that was a legit reaction, y'all. I had no idea those were we talked about this, so I knew the Broodmother was coming. But yeah, the only thing left is a binder. So let's see what's in that. Oh, is there nothing in here? I'll just put this in the stack of stuff I will give away to people. Now that'll just be something I just give away at a store, an event, not stuff that I would give away on the channel. I have actual sponsored Ultra Pro stuff that I'll give away for that are brand new, so you'll get that. But yeah, let me swap camera angles and we'll do a little bit of a wrap up. It's first time I've actually purchased something from a viewer. That's not something I've really been in a habit of, but I'm always willing to do it, you know, especially if a viewer's like, hey, I want to get rid of some stuff, but I'd rather it go to somebody I know instead of just selling it to random vendor or something. Like, yeah, we can work out something and I can do that for you. Because like I said, I'm going to buy collections anyway. So it's pretty cool to even just see kind of what some of my viewers appreciate or found interesting and included in their collections. So it's always just a cool little different adventure there. And of course, like I said, there's other stuff with the bulk stuff that's coming, but I'll see that hopefully in a couple of days. But yeah, again, if y'all haven't, check out my podcast, please. Color of Magic, go check it out. Especially this week, it'll be our big post-Magic, post-pandemic episode. If you haven't, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Really, right now, I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers by the 1st of February, so that'd be really cool if you could help me out with that. And, you know, remember, you can always come join us over in our Discord if you want to just come talk about Magic or, again, talk about collections or anything else. We helped somebody find some value of some cards recently they didn't know about, so all kinds of stuff going on in our Discord. And if you want to just come see me on Twitch, I'm on there Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 9 p.m. to midnight Pacific time. If you want to just come watch me play Magic or ask questions or get deck help live or anything else. So tons of stuff going on if you want to interact with us and just be part of the brood. That's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.